Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along here on this Monday, April 22nd. Hope you had a great weekend and ready to get your week off to a good start. Hopefully we can get that headed in the right direction. Jake, Justin at the ready as well. Hope you guys were ready to go. Let's get straight to the headlines.
All right, here are your daily Hoosier headlines on this 22nd day of April 2019, as it was a rough weekend for Indiana softball as they dropped 3 straight at Wisconsin. Baseball with a better weekend as they take 2 out of 3 at Michigan State, outscoring the Spartans 27-11 in the series. Hoosiers are now sitting atop the Big Ten all alone. Former Hoosier Jordan Holes has helped lead his team to the FIBA Euro Cup finals. And the Pacers eliminated from the playoffs and 4 games by the Celtics this weekend. Those are a look at your daily Hoosier headlines on this 22nd day of April 2019. For more information, be sure to check out thedailyhoosier.com.
Hey, welcome back. Hope that your weekend was good. Hope you had a great Easter. Found lots of eggs. Justin, did you have your little Easter egg hunt like you're expected to?
We actually did not. We went lazy this year, which is awesome. I was saying last week on the show that we do it for lottery tickets. Each egg has a corresponding number. But we all decided this year, since it was so muddy, let's just throw the numbers in a bag and we'll all pick them out. It was awesome.
That's weak.
It was awesome.
That's weak. It's awesome. Why? Because you did it from the comfort of your couch?
Well, we were outside. It was a beautiful day yesterday. So we were sitting on the porch enjoying it. It was nice. Nice little day.
Reaching in, drawing. Weak.
It was too muddy out.
Oh, come on. Man, that's what a quitter says.
We made the little kids go find him in the mud, though.
Well, see, there you go. That could have been even more fun. I hope you had a great weekend, a great Easter. I got to see Kylie. It was awesome. I didn't get any eggs, but that's okay. She's a good egg. She's the good egg, so that's all I needed to find. Hope you had a great weekend. Like I said, lots going on. Indiana basketball, of course, had a big visitor over the weekend with Anthony Harris. He's off to Chapel Hill, North Carolina right now on a visit to visit North Carolina, the Tar Heels. We'll see how that visit went this week as the week goes on. I don't know. It's hard to say, man. For a long time, I thought that it was going to end up, just from a strictly educated guess standpoint, that because Indiana needs him more than North Carolina just seems to want him. And I think they're going to have someone right in his spot by the time he gets there, that may lead him to Bloomington. But we'll have to see. We will certainly have to see how that plays out. I think that he'll make his decision rather soon after this visit to North Carolina finishes up, to get it out of the way. But we'll certainly find out. Lots going on over the weekend as well. The Indiana baseball team in action up in East Lansing. It was miserable up there as it was miserable here, so they had to postpone Saturday into Sunday for a doubleheader. Indiana loses the first game of that one after holding a lead in the 8th inning. They win the series, but they lost a game, and that's going to be a ding to the RPI, even though they're sitting atop the Big Ten right now. But Michigan State sucks. They hadn't won a Big Ten game this year. They were 0-8. And 9-25 overall at the time when they beat Indiana. So that's going to hurt the RPI. But if they can manage to get a Big Ten championship, that'll go a long ways. But that RPI means a lot. And they had climbed up to 20, and I saw that they dropped to like 30 or something. I forget where it was. I have to pull that up. But yeah, that's a little tough. But they do win the series. They're sitting atop, even though they did lose a game to the second to last place team in the conference. They are now in first place, with a 9-3 Big Ten record. Nebraska on their heels, sitting at 11-4. They're obviously one series out in front. Indiana goes off out of conference on Tuesday, which is what they usually do. Their weekday games this Tuesday. They'll be at Victory Field in Indianapolis to take on the Ball State Cardinals, a team they just played around about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And then they got some big Tuesday games coming up, man. You got Ball State at Victory Field this Tuesday. Then this weekend, I think they have a series with Minnesota. But that following Tuesday, they have to travel to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats, and a team that is expected to make the tournament right now. So that's a very, very important game. The following Tuesday, they're back at home against Louisville, a team that is sitting very high in the RPI standings, just generally ranked in the top 4 in most polls. Again, another opportunity for a big RPI bell ringer for the Hoosiers. But they are sitting atop the Big Ten standings right now, with a 9-3 mark in conference play. They've got 4 of the better teams in the Big Ten in the final 6 weeks of the season, though. Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, and Rutgers. If Indiana wins the regular season league crown, they will certainly earn it, and that is no doubt, because they've got a gauntlet to go through to end the season on. But they're 4 for 4 right now in series wins in the Big Ten.
I know it's a little bit of ways out, but if Indiana were to win the Big Ten, do they host a regional, you think?
It's going to be more about the RPI. I think. I mean, it depends. I mean, you could have a team that has a much better RPI. You got to look out for Louisville. They're as far as regionally, they're very close. Now they might be able to host a first round series, but for the super regional, which is very important. I mean, if you gets to host a super regional at home, man, that makes a gigantic difference. And Louisville is really working to get that done. But
there would certainly be worst case scenarios than going to Louisville, right? Pretty close to home. I mean, hopefully you'd have some fans travel down.
That's about the only good thing. Other than that, you're facing the number 4 team in the country.
Right.
So that would not be a great scenario. But that would be at the super regional level. So we got 4 more series. They've got 4 series left. See if they can get done. They've done a good job overall. Like I said, they're 4 for 4. They've got a tough schedule coming up, but they certainly wasted no time adding to its best in the nation home run total. They're leading the country in homers, man. I think they had 67 by the time the night was over on that first game. So that's one good thing, Indiana. And that's another reason why Indiana would love to play at home, man. They hit well at the Bart. They lead the country in home runs. I don't know what that total is right now. And I'm not checked. Spent Easter with my daughter, so I've not checked all of that stuff. I know they had 67 after the first game. Someone hit a home run Friday night. But that's something that definitely plays into their favor. I mean, you look at the Big Ten, the next closest team in them is like 25 home runs behind. That is a lot of home runs. That's the difference between Indiana's lead and the second place team is more than most teams have in the Big Ten. Most teams. That says something. I mean, that's really knocking it stiff. The Pacers, they gone. You know what the Celtics said?
Bye.
Pacers swept by the Boston Celtics. They lose 2 in Boston to come back home to Indianapolis and lose 2 there.
Rough series.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be surprised, but I don't know how you can be, because I was surprised that they managed to hang on like they did in the playoff race. And to be honest with you, Boston was a better team than what they're seeded. Boston's maybe the best team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, Milwaukee is up there, but that's going to be a great series finale, I'd say.
Yeah.
Milwaukee and Boston, or a conference final, rather.
They play next round, so it won't be a conference final.
Oh, they do play next round?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holy moly. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, getting back to baseball, Indiana win that first game. Their 9th in a row. That was their 9th in a row. Didn't last long. The streak comes to an end in the next game. They lose 5-3, but 6 different Hoosiers had at least 2 hits in that first game. Matt Gorski was 3 for 4. Drew Ashley, that dude has been on fire, man.
Yeah.
From Evansville Memorial High School. What a season that dude's had. He reached base 4 times, drove in 4 runs. He is having a breakout season.
And not just offensively either. Defensively, he's one of the better players on the team also.
Yeah, he made a great play. I forget what game it was, but the game that went to extra innings that they managed to pull out. He made a great play getting a run at home to stop a run that would have given up the lead. But they win big Friday, 13-4. Paulie Milto, he battled through the cold. He gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs, and 7 innings of work. But he struck out 7 on the night. He didn't walk any, and that's huge. Not walking guys, getting them on base. He gets his 6th win of the season. But the rain took care of things on Saturday, so they had to do a doubleheader on Sunday. Spartans pick up their first win of the conference season, man. And IU had a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 7th before a 5-run inning catapulted Michigan State to its lone win of the series and lone win of the conference season thus far. You know that's going to happen. I mean, For one thing, you know the streak was going to end at some point. You just didn't want it to be against Michigan State because of the RPI deal, because they suck and their record sucks and it hurts. It just hurts when you lose to a team that's not doing very well. Matt Lloyd had a great second game. He had 2 hits and an RBI. Justin Walker had a solo home run. So that gives them what? That put them at 68. As I add the count up in my head going along, they're nation's leading 68 home runs. And then they wrapped it up with a win Sunday night to win the series. Do you know who the team's best hitter is? Freshman Grant Richardson.
Yeah,
dude he's bucking for freshman of the year in the Big Ten, but he leads the team in hitting average with 327. That I got to tell you, man. But hey, we got a lot to get to today. Nick Baumgart's with us. We're going to talk about the visit by Anthony Harris. I haven't heard a whole lot about that, to be honest with you, because it was Easter. Not a lot. I think people were just busy, which is good. That's how it should be. You know, it's nice not having just worry about every little mundane thing. Because you know what I always say, and when people talk about, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And I'm like, you'll know when you know, man. You'll know when you know.
That's it.
Just chill, relax. What are you going to change it? Is it going to change the situation? No. Hey, we got a lot to come up, like I said. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
Skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with our hearts a thumping and you, my brown-eyed girl.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway, Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
The old man with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding a rainbow's wall.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Getting ready to listen to a little bit of Todd Leary from Friday because Anthony Harris was here. We talked a lot about recruiting. It was a great bit with Todd. So let's hear how that went. Hopefully we'll hear that in a second. Talk with Todd extensively about recruiting today because it's definitely different than what it used to be. But we also talked about how all these rankings and who's this 4-star and this 5-star and who's doing the ranking. And you notice we had the greatest NCAA tournament in the history of the tournament this past year. Not one 5-star, not one and done rather, in that only 2 freshmen in the entire Final Four. But the one and dones have not had made their mark. Didn't make their mark on the tournament. Didn't make their mark on the championship for certain. But we ready with that, guys? Yes, no? I'm going to take that as a no.
Not quite yet. Did you see the news about Cassius Winston?
That he's staying, yes. Great news for Michigan State. Not good news for anybody else.
Not
other than that. Not that surprising, I guess, because I don't know where he was. I hadn't seen his name very high up in the NBA draft, and I guess he wants to try to. If he thinks he has aspirations of ending up there, that he wants to give himself the best shot possible. For certain, I'm looking over home run leaders because Indiana leads the nation in home runs, but individually, they've got two guys with 13, Cole Barr and Matt Lloyd, both with 13 home runs on the season, which helps Indiana, but they're not the only ones. But there's 26 home runs right there. 26. That's more. I need to pull up the Big Ten home run list is what I need to do, just out of curiosity, because it's kind of funny because I think that there's going to be Indiana players that have more than some teams.
Yeah. I'd venture to say 6 or 7 teams.
Would you now? Well, let's just find out and pull that up. Cole Barr, like I said, him and Matt Lloyd, 13 apiece. So that's pretty cool. But let's hear what Todd Leary had to say Friday. Look, there was a great talk. I mean, we really got into the recruiting aspect of it. And he does an incredible job of breaking that stuff down because he's been there, man. He knows what the score is. This is Todd Leary.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Boyer with you here, Indiana Sports Beat, joined now by our favorite guest on Friday, Todd Leary. Todd, how you doing, brother?
Does that mean I'm the only guest on Friday?
How did you know that?
Yeah, just an educated guess.
No, just kidding. Actually, our favorite guest the entire week. Looking forward to it. Todd, basketball right now, there's a lot of going on for Indiana recruiting-wise. But recruiting in the offseason has changed so much from when you played. When you were there, guys were 4-year guys. There weren't the grad transfer thing was not a thing. The NCAA transfer portal that I call the trade portal was not a thing. It has changed so much. How do you see the teams, the chemistry and all that stuff changing? Because you guys, like I said, were together for 4 years, 5 years sometimes.
Yeah, the transfer portal, when I first started understanding it and looking at it a little bit, I think I liked it a lot more than I do now. I'm not sure. From Indiana's perspective, I don't think it's worked out to their benefit a ton. I mean, I think it's probably given guys some experiences that maybe they wouldn't have had before, but from a team chemistry or a team success standpoint, I don't know that it's been that great of an impact on them. But when you look at it overall, or when I look at it overall, and you see the impact it has on some of the former mid majors or schools that are always 4-year guys schools. I think it has a negative impact on them, and that part of it is a little bit weird. But then if you look around and you say, you take that statement and I look at it as a whole, this was one of the best tournaments I can ever remember watching for the NCAA tournament. So I love that side of it. So maybe I just don't understand it completely or don't understand how it affects some other schools. But the basketball tournament was awesome, and I loved that part of it. There was a lot of transfers on there, and I read through, I think, the top 100 or whatever list I saw the other day, and it's incredible some of the names that are on there. But from Indiana's perspective, I don't know. Obviously we didn't have any of that. We had very little transfer in. I don't think we had any transfer ins. We had a couple of transfer outs, but not very many. So I'm not super sure how in today's world it affects the teams. We just didn't have a whole lot of experience with it.
Yeah, I saw that Matt Painter, Purdue's coach, came out. He's not really in favor of, I think it was the grad transfer deal. And he mentioned exactly what you talked about with the mid-majors, that how it is such an advantage for teams like his or these higher-level Division I teams to be able to pull those guys in and almost cherry-pick to bolster their teams, where those mid-majors, they got their 4-year guys, man. They got who they got. And so he seems to think that's at a disadvantage to him, which is unusual for a coach who is receiving on the beneficial end of that to come out and say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's pretty realistic also, and he's, I've known him since we were in high school, so he's a pretty honest guy, and he tells things the way that they are, not necessarily the way that people want to hear him, and he's pretty secure with his job too. So he's done a great job, and he can come out and say that kind of stuff. He's not going to take too much heat for it, but you just take a look at some of the guys. From the players' perspective, it's given some of them an opportunity to go, display their skills on TV, national TV, and in conferences where they wouldn't have been on TV before. So it's kind of weird. I'm giving a political answer because I don't really know if I'm for it or against it. I can see how it can definitely negatively affect some schools as a whole, but I can see how it can positively affect some individual kids.
Yeah, it's probably something that we're going to have to wait 5 years to actually to look back and say, okay, now what are the patterns changed? How has it impacted college sports? Because it's not just basketball, it's football, it's everything. So it's college sports as a whole. So we'll have to look back to see, is it beneficial or is it not beneficial? Because there's so many different sides to it. You've got the sides that takes the players' sides that, hey, man, they're not getting paid, but these coaches can come and go at will if they want to, which they have at least made the rule change that is allowing a guy like Anthony Harris, who's going to be on a visit to Indiana today. He was originally committed to Virginia Tech, and then Coach Buzz Williams left for Texas A&M, so he was allowed to be released from that commitment, even though he had signed to play there, and now he can look elsewhere, and that's something Indiana can pick up. And speaking of that, he's a point guard that I think Indiana needs desperately. But you've watched him play all year long with one point guard, and then sometimes they didn't have him when he was out with a concussion. I think it's very, very critical that Indiana land him or someone like him.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that they obviously depth at that position usually doesn't hurt a team, and I think you saw some different circumstances throughout the year where not necessarily Indiana perspective, but you look at a lot of other schools that were very successful, and there might have been 2 point guards, and a lot of times you could say 4 guards overall that were on the floor at one time. So there's a different style of basketball. I think Archie Miller's style of controlling the ball and having 2 guys on the floor that are kind of have a point guard mentality definitely wouldn't hurt anything. You never know someone's skill set until they get to college and play. And I know what they're supposed to be capable of doing. And I'm not speaking of the Harris kid at all. I'm just speaking in generality. But you just never know how a kid's going to play until he gets out there. I think I said all year long with you, I was pleasantly surprised at how easily Robert Finney graduated to the college game, and it didn't seem to be too fast for him. And I thought he adjusted very well. And if you could get another kid that could adjust that well, it would be pretty special to watch what they could do out on the floor together.
Yeah, the one thing I have to say about Rob Finney is follow it up. He really seemed like he did push the issue. He took what was given to him to learn and just continually progressed throughout the season. Of course, he had that bump in the middle with the concussion, but he just seemed to grow within that position without trying to do too much.
Yeah, we watched enough games together to know I wanted him to try to do a lot more throughout the year. The ball seemed to be safe when it was in his hands, and it seemed to go through the basket when it left his hands and for shots. So I was hoping he would try to become a little bit more selfish, but it just says how much more of a team player he is and how good, he would have been an awesome Coach Knight type player. Coach Knight would have absolutely loved Rob Finney.
Yeah, and speaking of those days, I was looking. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier made a post the other day that he was looking at the shooting 3-point shooting from the 2013 team, and Christian Watford was 48%. It was great. You had Jordan Halls, it was a 40%, and Victor Oladipo. And I said, dude, you need to look back at the teams from the late 80s and the early 90s, those teams you were on. And Jay Edwards shot 57% from three one year. 57%. How's that humanly possible?
Yeah. Well, that's why he thought he was ready to go to the NBA that quickly. You know, it was a little different of a thing back then. He'd have probably been drafted in the top 4 if he did that in today's world. But you know, it was different. I mean, there was a more of an emphasis on, you know, being more of a well-rounded player. I do not know the stats, but I bet if you looked at some of our teams, you know, between 91 and 94, you know, we probably had, not just on the team, but we probably had 3 or 4 guys that all shot over 40% from 3 on the floor all the time.
Well, let me tell you this. From about the time you got there, at least until you left, the team shot between 40 and 47%. The entire team.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
That's not surprising. Yeah, that's not surprising, but it was just, you know, that's what we recruited. I mean, luckily I was included in that group, but luckily, you know, Coach Knight looked for guys who could kind of do everything, maybe not particularly great at one thing, but could do a lot of different things on the floor. So that was just one of the benefits of being able to play for him.
Well, shooting the ball was definitely something you guys did well, all of you. You were one of those group that just shot the lights out. And I think that is something, man, until Indiana gets some guys that can do that, I think that they're not going to be able to get to that elite status. Because we talk about Virginia, Indiana runs the pack line, and Virginia runs the pack line defense. But Virginia was number 7 in the country in three-point shooting this year. A huge, huge difference when you got great defense and great offense. Great things are going to happen.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. Offense has, you know, I think a lot of people looked at Virginia, a lot of the analysts, and especially a lot of the Clark Kellogg's and the Kenny Smiths and those guys when it came down to the end of the year, and everybody is just a little bit afraid to throw your hat in the ring for Virginia because offensively they've just not. You can win a couple of games offensively in a tournament, defensively in a tournament. But unless you can score some points, it's going to catch up with you at some point. Somebody's going to get hot. And that's why I think they talked about this year's team being different. This was Tony Bennett's best offensive team. And when you say that, that's not even giving it justice because it was his best offensive team by a mile. So, you know, that's kind of what it went to. And you can't, in today's world, I mean, this would have been my heyday right here. Like I hated defense when I got to Indiana, and I learned to love it playing through Coach Knight. But you know, I would have loved the offensive being such a big part of it, and you had to be able to shoot and be on the floor, and that would have been right up my alley. So yeah, it was. It's changed a bunch, and you're seeing teams that I think used to not be as up and down. I mean, Duke didn't used to be as up and down shooting 3-pointers as they are now. And they are. So they're adapting. You know, everybody's adapting to the way the game's going right now.
We watched a lot of Indiana games, like you said, this year. What does this Indiana team have to do? What do they have to add to get better next year? Obviously, Romeo's gone. Jawan Morgan is gone. So they lose those aspects. What does this team need to do better next year? I mean, some of it's obvious, but there's more intricacies that only people like you who have played the game can really see.
Well, I think if you look back on one of the things we just hit on game after game during that big losing streak was the fact that this team didn't have an identity, and they didn't. We couldn't say, hey, you know, they're a defensive team or they're a 3-point shooting team. They just did not have an identity, and they can't go through the season and be in that circumstance again. I mean, that was basically what January 1 through mid-February, where they didn't even know who they were, and it was a struggle to watch them even. There were some very difficult games to watch Indiana play in, and so, you know, this team has got to come out, and I think they've got to buy in early on. This will, I think, be a little bit different. You've got Rob Phinisee, who played substantial minutes and was a big part of it, and you know, I think he'll lead some guys that are coming in. But overall, I think they kind of ended the year on a little bit of a high note, and not making the tournament was was tough to deal with. So that's something that hopefully they can hold in the back of their mind and build on for this coming season. But they ended playing a lot better. They ended with a little bit of an identity, and they kind of got a toughness to them. And that's one of Archie Miller's teams that one of the things that they've always done through Dayton was, they were tough. Like you knew you were going to have a battle when you played against them. And I don't know that teams would say that about Indiana, early in the season and through that mid part of the season. Towards the end, I think they kind of got a chip on their shoulder and they played a little bit meaner and tougher. And that's something this new team's going to have to do. And I think they'll do it much earlier than they did last year. I certainly hope so.
One of the pieces that they have been able to add already is 6'11" Joey Brunk, grad transfer from Butler, played Southport High School. How do you see him fitting in? I think he's going to be a pretty good, valuable piece because he's bringing a lot of experience in addition to size.
Yep, I mean that's one of the situations where you talked about that could be one of the first ones we look at Indiana and say, all right, yeah, that had a really positive impact on Indiana getting better in a hurry. He's a kid I've seen play since obviously he was in high school, and I kind of thought that he would have more of an impact at Butler in his first couple of years. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't. And in having that experience and having those years and opportunities to play and practice and those things, I'm excited to see how he can transition that into being at Indiana. I mean, it's not like Butler is a mid-major anymore. I mean, they're a big-time school and they play great teams every game out. So talent-wise, it's not going to be a big jump for him of who he's playing against. I just think that maybe the system and the scope of everything overall might be more of what he's looking for. And he can give them, if he can give them substantial rebounding and solid rebounding, and obviously offensively, I think he will help out Indiana from an interior perspective. But if he can solidify the rebounding perspective and being able to guard defensively on the interior, having a guy that you don't have to go double team because of size, if he can be that one-on-one defender to take away somebody in the post and Indiana doesn't have to double team, it changes their defensive perspective completely. And it's more of what Archie Miller wants his defense to look like. It's more of what Virginia looked like. I mean, there was very few guys they had to go double team in the post, and it really hurts your whole defense when you have to go double team. All five guys have to rotate, or all the four other guys not guarding the guy that gets the ball have to rotate when you're double teaming, and that really kind of screws everything up. So I think that will help out as much as anything.
Another discussion that's often brought up, and I was having this with someone on social media the other day, is Indiana kids on the Indiana team. Obviously, I don't think every kid has to be from Indiana, but I think that because Indiana per capita produces as much talent as any state in this country, that if you don't have the ability to recruit in your own backyard, how are you going to have success elsewhere? But so there's that aspect of it, because the talent is right there. And I think that it only makes your program better when your homegrown kids are on that, or at least a big part of that program. And not everybody thinks that. They don't think that they just have to come here. And I don't think it has to be every one of them, but I think you need to have the best kids from Indiana should probably be playing for Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, here's kind of how I look at that, and maybe it's more self-serving for me to say it, but when you're saying there's a top talent in the country that's from Indiana, if you analyze that a little deeper, and I'm not saying this is what everybody has to look at it, but this is how I look at it is, Indiana kids have always kind of been known as shooters. Like, they're guys who always have a basketball, they're gym rats, they're whatever. They're guys who can shoot the basketball quite a bit. And when you have an Indiana team like what we had this year that struggled to shoot the ball, and it's not really just this year. They've been several years in a row. They have not been a very good shooting team, and that's what you do, or you're kind of known for, having grown in your backyard. It makes it a little bit more difficult for the fan base to accept the fact that we're getting recruits from other places, and then we're losing guys in our own backyard that can actually put the ball in the basket. And so when you have games where you score 45 points against Purdue, that stands out to you at that point. Purdue Purdue took some guys that were good shooters and they had them on their team and they beat us and we only scored 45 points. Those are things that stick out in that regard. I don't, you know, from watching the games with me, I'm not a huge fan of just recruiting guys that are rated really high, because those ratings, 99 times out of 100, those ratings are done by people who never played and have no idea. They're rating guys based on their athletic ability for the most part and their size. And a lot that does have a lot to do with it. I mean, you take a Zion Williamson, obviously, yeah, they got that one right. But then you take, there's a lot of other guys that are rated in that 10 to 25 that you never hear of again. And that's because they were just big and maybe athletic, but they didn't know how to play and they don't take coaching very well. And, I'd like to see a 1 through 100 when they rate guys on how well they listen and how well they're able to be coached. I'd love to see that list, because I can guarantee you it wouldn't mirror the one that's 1 through 100 right now. So, the recruiting thing is, it's one of my pet peeves. I can't stand those rating systems because they're so political. They're so based on things that don't make teams better. They're players that are fun to watch for the most part.
Yeah, you talk about this tournament being the best ever, and that's how I feel. It was incredible. You look at the Final Four, I think there were zero one-and-dones in there. They had no impact on it, and they really haven't had an impact on the national championship throughout this whole process. So, and then you look at an Auburn team that knocked off Kentucky with a pair of guards that were a combined 1.5 stars maybe. These guys were that one guy, he's like, I wasn't recruited by anybody. He was ranked the 300 and something player in the country, but they hung 50 points on Kentucky to get to the Final Four.
Yeah, those are, those stories are not as rare as what that sounds like. We're making that out because it was a big one that was on the national stage to go to the Final Four. Yeah, that's huge. But there's a lot more of those than just that. And those rating systems, I'm not being a disgruntled guy who doesn't feel like he didn't get to play enough. I truly look at it from the perspective of I've loved when we were warming up to play a game in AAU or in high school or whatever it was, and you look down at the other end of the floor and everybody's just really athletic. Nobody can shoot. Nobody is shooting mid-range jump shots, and everybody's going in and trying to dunk and see how high above the rim they could get. Those were my favorite games, because I knew all we had to do was pack it in. They couldn't hit anything. If we could rebound, we would win by 30. And, those are the games. Those are the guys who don't get, a guy like me is not ranked anywhere in the top whatever. I'm in the top million just because I have no athletic ability. And I can't, there's a million of me, and there's not a million guys who can jump and, 360 dunk and do all kinds of crazy things. It's fun for me to watch too, trust me, but I'd rather watch it in a warm-up line than I would in a game, because you put those guys in a game and they can't play. And so, that's why the ranking system is such a job. I mean, I can tell you right now, if you put things in the right, you called the right people, I could get somebody ranked pretty highly here in the state of Indiana if I wanted to by the end of the day. So it's not as cut and dry as what everybody thinks, where those are legit rankings.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of harkens back to one of the funniest things Bob Knight ever did was create Ivan Renko. He created a fake guy, and people bought right into that.
Oh, yeah. Everybody wanted he was going to be the best player ever played in Indiana. Yeah.
But, yeah.
There's actually, I think I've told you there's a crazy backstory to that, but sometime, if I haven't, I'll tell you that later.
I'd love to hear that. Has the game been affected too much by these rankings, by these players that are ranked high, but they're really not better than guys that are going to Hofstra or whatever the case may be?
I think when you say is the game affected by it, I mean, how do we say that? It's not negatively affected, because we are both admitting this was an awesome tournament to watch. I think after last year's tournament, everybody was saying this was an awesome tournament to watch. So the final product is ending up being, I think, what we enjoy and what we like watching. But, I think there's a lot of kids that get overlooked. I know I have talked to I've talked to several head coaches and several assistant coaches throughout the country. in the last 5 or 6 years through AAU basketball. And these are guys that I know and I've played with, and I know that went to Indiana and stuff like that. And, you know, it's amazing. They even find themselves falling victim to the rankings, and they want to go see this guy play. And, you know, it'll be an AAU tournament in a city, and they don't ever make it out of the gym where all the Nike players are playing, or they don't make it out of the gym where the Under Armour players are playing, because they want to make sure that one guy knows that they were there the whole time. And, you know, they're recruiting Nike guys, or they're recruiting Under Armour guys. And I think with the people that got in trouble last year and the schools that got in trouble for it, you know, hopefully some of that will go away. But the actual rankings won't, because the people who set those rankings are guys who make a lot of money running a Nike event, or running an Under Armour event, or running an Adidas event. And that's, hey, they're entrepreneurs. That's what they're in the business for, and they're doing a great job of it. But let's not turn them into basketball people, because 9 times out of 10 with those guys, they don't know a whole lot about what it takes to win in basketball. They might know how athletic a guy is, but they don't know what it takes to win.
He's solid gold. He's Todd Leary, and we can't be any happier to have him, brother. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend.
There's Todd Noodle. That was a great talk with Todd, man. We usually don't replay that one on Monday, but it was really, really good, and I wanted to hear that. So we did it, because there's a lot going on in the world of recruiting right now. You had the Jordan Brand Classic over the weekend, and had that game been on TV, we would have known where Trendon Watford is going, but it was not. It was on Twitter TV, on the Twitterverse. But James Wiseman, Cole Anthony, co-MVPs. James Wiseman, of course, going to Memphis. Trendon Watford, 18-7 in that game. Trace Jackson Davis, going Indiana, of course, had 4 points. Only played about 10 minutes. A quick note before we I don't want to lose this. Indiana women's basketball sophomore forward Lindsay Marchese is announced yesterday that she's going to transfer. She played behind Kim Royster for her first 2 seasons, and nothing big. She's just looking for playing time, so it's not a big deal.
Kim Royster's done, though.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the deals where I don't really know why, but I don't know what's in front of her now, but I guess she felt she'd get who knows? I'm not even going to delve into what the thinking could possibly be, because I don't know.
There is a lot of good talent rolling in.
Dude, she was a 6'4" post player, but getting back to the Jordan Brand Classic, you know, Watford he was going to make his decision then, but that changed a little bit. But he's still in the decision-making mold. The timing wasn't right to do things on Saturday because it wasn't on TV. I don't know why they say the timing wasn't right. It's already been said, because it was not on TV. He's waiting to pick between Alabama, Indiana, LSU, and Memphis. The sheer fact that LSU is still in anybody's top anything just aggravates me. I want to call out the parents, to be honest with you. There's no way in hell my kid would be considering LSU for anything right now. Will Wade's a cheating son of a bitch. Period. End of story. He's a cheater. Just because he doesn't have to testify because a judge says the relationship's not relevant to what the case they're trying to prove, he's still a cheater. He's on an FBI wiretap talking about making a strong-ass offer to get a player. He's on there talking about it a lot. He's a cheater. Because he got away with it, that's okay? That makes it okay to these people? That's disgusting to me. That's disgusting. Because that tells me you are just turning your head away from it. Well, you don't have to testify, so I guess that makes it okay. No, it doesn't. He's a cheater, a caught cheater.
You know, and that's why we've said for the past couple of weeks that we can't anticipate Trendon Watford going there. I mean, who wants to go into that fallout aisle situation where you never even know what's going to happen?
There's no way. I just can't imagine that.
Yeah.
I tell you who's making a strong run back at him, though, right now is Alabama with Nate Oates, the new coach in there. He had a recent he's had an opportunity to meet with him. He said it was a good visit. He was able to get down there and watch the coach and their workouts. It was good to be able to see a new coach, different from Coach Avery Johnson. He said the offense is a little different. He likes to play fast. That's how he likes to play. He said Indiana, as far as Indiana, it's going good with them. Coach Archie came down to my house a few days ago. We had a really good home visit. That's all that they said about that. LSU, Coach Wade has been on me strong ever since he got the job. That's funny that he used that word strong, because my first question was, well, did he make a strong-ass offer? Give me a break with that. As far as Memphis, James Wiseman has been working him really hard. Say he works him every week. He said DJ Jeffries is there. Plus, there's other guys waiting to go there. I mean, these guys are talking. They're talking. And they're talking like, well, hey, man, if we all go there, we're going to make this place dominant and this and that and the other thing. You don't know what's going on with that. But, early on, apparently it looked like Watford was going to end up at LSU. And then Wade got caught and was suspended before being reinstated. I still think I think it's Alabama-Memphis. I've said that a month ago, and I don't think that has changed. It did change for a minute with the coaching change at Alabama, but I think really the coaching break is stronger now. Hey, we're way over break. We got to take one fast. We'll be back with more on Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small, your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome in. Hope you get your week off started to a great start. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. We appreciate you taking us along. Nick Baumgartner will join us on the program today. We got a lot to talk about with visits, recruiting, baseball, volleyball, everything happening over the weekend. Happy post-Easter day. Jake and Justin at the ready as well. Let's get to the headlines.
All right, here are your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 22nd day of April 2019, as it was a rough weekend for Indiana softball as they dropped 3 straight at Wisconsin. Baseball with a better weekend as they take 2 out of 3 at Michigan State, outscoring the Spartans 27-11 in the series. Indiana now sitting atop the Big Ten standings all by themselves. Former Hoosier basketball player Jordan Holes has helped lead his team to the FIBA Europe Cup finals, and the Pacers eliminated from the playoffs in 4 games by the Celtics yesterday. Those are a look at your Daily Hoosier headlines for this 22nd day of April 2019. For more information, be sure to check out thedailyhoosier.com.
Hey, welcome back in. Yeah, lots going on over the weekend, man. It was an Easter weekend, busy. Got to see Kylie yesterday. That was awesome. Spend the day, had a great meal. That was very good. I'm looking forward to enjoying some of those leftovers today.
Come on.
Man, it was, the good old stuff, the mashed potatoes and the corn and the green bean casserole and
oh yeah,
perfectly done turkey in the big green egg. It was good stuff, man. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you found your golden egg or whatever you were chasing. Justin had his Easter egg hunt. Plenty of candy for him. No, they just do the lottery picks, but you didn't even do the Easter egg hunt, man. You all just sat on your butts in a chair and drew names, man. What kind of Easter egg hunt is that?
And ate candy while we were doing that.
Oh,
so
of course.
You didn't
even have to look for the candy. You didn't have to look for the candy.
It was like
reached up and grabbed it out of a bowl.
It was the ultimate fat kid Easter celebration.
Willy Wonka. Reminds me of the kid on Willy Wonka.
I loved it.
Indiana baseball had a good weekend. They lose to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, but they win the series over Michigan State up in East Lansing. It was a terrible weather day Saturday, so it was postponed till Sunday. It was a doubleheader. Indiana loses the first one 5-3 after leading into the 7th inning. They win the series because they win the next game, but that's gonna put a ding on the RPI. They were number 20. They'd climbed up to 20 and they lose to Michigan State. That hurts. I know they won the series, but you lose a game to a team that is 9-25 and 0-8 in the Big Ten. That's gonna hurt. It's gonna knock them down a little bit. But they are at the top of the Big Ten standings now. They played one series more than Nebraska has. Nebraska sits at 11-4. Yes, Nebraska has played one more. Is what I meant to say. Correct. Thank you. Nebraska is 11-4 right now. Indiana 9-3, and I don't think they play each other, which boggles my mind. This is baseball. You've only got all the games they play, and they can't play every team in the conference.
That's kind of mind blowing.
I don't understand that. I mean, you're playing 3-game series everywhere, and how do you not play every Big Ten team? Whether even if you just play them a game, like they used to do in some of when the like basketball was, or even football. They don't play everybody, obviously, but you play everybody in your division. And but anyway, Indiana leading that right now. They're leading the Big Ten in home runs. They're leading the nation in home runs. They've got two guys. They've got two players that are leading the conference in home runs at 13 apiece. Kobar, Matt Gorski. There's 26 home runs. I couldn't pull up the team home runs, but I wonder how many teams do not have 26 home runs. I promise you there half the league probably does not have 26 home runs. And there's just two guys on Indiana that has that. So they take on Ball State Tuesday at Victory Field in Indianapolis before a big series. They have Minnesota this weekend, right?
Yes. Yep.
That's a big series. Minnesota's a good team. They're a top 5 team in the conference, upper level of the conference. So that's going to be a very important series to win for Indiana. Then they've got some big games coming up, man. They've got these Tuesday games. They're big. They got game against Vol State at Victory Field, like I said, Tuesday. A week after that on a Tuesday, they travel to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats, a team that is expected to make the tournament. And then a week after that, they're back at home against Louisville, which is a top 4 RPI team, one of the top teams in the country in baseball. That ought to be a heck of a game. So they got some big games. They got some opportunities to make up that RPI. And the reason I talk about that so much is because that's good. That's what's going to come down to who hosts a super regional. You get the first level of playoffs, but then you move into that super regional that determines who goes to Omaha. And any bit advantage you can get helps. And playing at home certainly helps, especially for a team like Indiana, who's hit nearly 70 home runs on the season. That's almost double what the closest team in the Big Ten has. So, yeah, I think it's a huge deal for them.
Well, and I hate to look too far ahead, but you start thinking of the College World Series and just how big that field is that they play on. The power hitters that Indiana has produced this year could come up big if they're able to get to Omaha.
We'll certainly see. Yeah, I believe that to be the case. IU volleyball was in action over the weekend. They had an exhibition weekend. Friday they took on Butler. They win that, and they win that 3 games out of 5. It's a 3 out of 5 deal. They won 3 games in that, and then the next day they took on Miami. Man, you talk about a close match. That one goes 5 games, and it was. Every game was close, except for I think it was the 4th game. Indiana really kind of separated a little bit, but then come back in that deciding 5th game. It was a 2-point match that Miami ended up taking out there. But we spoke with Krista Van Sant afterwards, an assistant coach for Indiana. She is not just an assistant coach, she was the 2013 NCAA Player of the Year. That's the kind of, not only is Coach Steve Aird bringing in talent on the court, he's bringing in talent around him, coaching-wise. This is the 2013 Player of the Year. I think she came from Oregon or Washington. But that's talent, man, and that's just, I think that's just another thing shows how he's trying to really turn this program around fast. I thought the crowd was pretty daggone good. This was a
lot of people there.
A nasty, rainy Saturday of a holiday Easter weekend and an exhibition game. All that stuff generally means nobody's going to be there. They had a pretty good crowd. I mean, it wasn't packed, but we're talking, I thought it was a good crowd. I was surprised. But like I said, I spoke to Krista Van Sant. Jake, we've got that. Let's let that roll.
You guys had a great series over this weekend. It was just an exhibition, obviously, but some very competitive matches today. What do you learn from the team from this weekend?
I think we learned a lot. I think we learned that we still have a lot to work on. I think we learned that the team has come a pretty long way since we got here, and I think they're a lot better and more fun to watch than when we first got here, but that we're nowhere close to where we need to be going into this fall. And I think the players know that, and the staff knows that. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that we've come a long way, but we still have a really long way to go. We saw some good performances by a couple players here and there, and I think they're continuing to improve, and that's doing good going into the summertime.
What are some of the things that stood out, some of the things that were positives and negatives?
Yeah, I think our middles played great offensively. I think we were pretty good going through both matches. By the end of the, I think, third set, going into the fourth set today, we started to serve a lot better. I think as a team we served much better towards that end of those two sets than in the first two. I think we struggled a little bit adjusting to this team that we played today. I think they do a lot of patterns and stuff we don't see all the time. And so that was a little bit difficult, and they didn't adjust as fast as we should have. But other than that, I think we're growing, we're improving. You know, we're building camaraderie with the staff and the players and trying to help them get to what they need to hear and see and all that kind of stuff. So it's getting better overall. I think it was a positive weekend. There's definitely things we can take away from it, though.
There you go. Krista Van Sant, assistant coach for the Indiana women's volleyball program. Steve Aird was actually on the road recruiting, which is kind of unusual. But
yeah, it's odd.
I mean, I was there. It was funny. I was at the game, and I kept looking. I'm like, because I'm still getting accustomed to college volleyball and all, and just how everything goes. Not the game. I understand the game fine. I played it, but and I kept looking and looking. I'm like, where's? I mean, it was like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, is he like up in the stands? So I'm trying to get a different view. And I'm like, because all the players, another thing that was kind of odd, both teams, all the players, you know, they got the benches, which are seats, but nobody was sitting. They were all standing at the very end, all the players. And I guess maybe it's because they rotate in so much or stay warm, but nobody was sitting. And I'm like, okay, who's the coach? Who's the coach for Miami? Okay, well, where's Steve Aird? I kept looking, and I'm like, I couldn't find him. And I didn't find out till afterwards that he was out recruiting, but hey.
Could have saved yourself some time looking for him.
I'm telling you, but it's kind of funny. But congratulations. That program is, man, that's going to be something exciting to see in the fall. Talk about a good program, Indiana women's tennis. They are finished up the season strong. They head into the Big Ten tournament now. The Hoosiers will be the number 7 seed. And open up against number 10 Iowa on the 25th. So 3 days from now. Was that Thursday?
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. That's in Lincoln, Nebraska. Down in Lincoln. So good luck as the women win their last series this weekend. So congratulations to them. Hopefully they can get that done as well. We got a lot to talk about, man, recruiting-wise, basketball. Indiana had a visit this weekend from Anthony Harris. They got a visit coming this weekend from Lester Quinones. Those decisions are coming soon. Trenton Watford's decision is coming soon. Let's talk about all that and more when we come back after the break here on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us here on this Monday. Hope your week's off to a great start, and hope we're getting it headed in that direction for you. Hope you had a great Easter weekend. Found all the eggs you were looking for. Once the rain got out of here, Sunday was beautiful. It was a beautiful day, so I hope everyone got to enjoy that and do everything that they wanted to do. A lot going on in basketball and all of that. We'll get to all that. Hey, before I forget, make sure you take care of our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. They've been serving Southern Indiana families for over 30 years. The doctors, Jan and Roger Reynolds, take care of your family. Who is your dentist? Do they support IU? Do they help bring you the content? Because I know Reynolds Family Dentistry does. Support those that support you, man. They help us make this happen for you. They help us allow us to give you all this great coverage. Along with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, our good friend John Sweetland. Give him a call at 812-944-5642. They've been serving Floyd, Clark, and Harrison and Washington counties since 1995, a homegrown company since 1995. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling. We appreciate them helping us help you. That's how we get the coverage to you. So remember that. Great friends of the show, and they provide us the ability to do this for you. So take care of them. Justin, you made your dental appointment yet?
I have not. You're supposed to do that for me.
Well, that's about to happen. And you think I'm kidding? I'm going to give them every bit of information of yours that they need. And now that I'm going to do the same for Jake. So don't you be laughing. I see you laughing over there. You can't. Don't be laughing. You're next. Don't be laughing. Y'all be coming out there with big old fresh white teeth, man. Whoo! You look like Tiger Woods when it's done. Or better yet, you look like Steve Harvey when it's done.
Even better.
Man, teeth for days. Dr. J going there with he may have to put the mask on and go in there with the coal mining hat, go to work, turn you into Steve Harvey.
I'm ready.
Recruiting action, man. Lots of it going on over the weekend. Visit to Indiana from Anthony Harris. He is off to Chapel Hill, North Carolina today before when he finishes up to make his decision. A lot of the same usual suspects here in the play. Memphis, LSU, but I think with Anthony Harris, I think it's a down to Indiana and North Carolina, to be honest with you, is my thought on that. But that doesn't mean that things just can't go in a different direction.
Well, I mean, it seems like that's what's likely to happen on account of that's the only 2 official visits he's taken.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Maryland in the picture and all that, but I think it comes down to those 2. I think Indiana needs him. I don't think North Carolina does. I think they're actually going to end up with another player in his position. So that should bode well for Indiana. But the Jordan Brand Classic happened over the weekend. James Wiseman, Cole Anthony were co-MVPs. James Wiseman is heading to Memphis. He's one of the guys that's trying to pull in these other players, like a Trendon Watford, who had 18 points and 7 rebounds in that game, had planned to make his decision known at that game. But because it was not broadcast on TV and only on Twitter, that wasn't good enough. So that decision has been pushed off. He is also deciding between Memphis, Alabama, LSU, and Indiana. LSU, I don't care. I just cannot. There's no way in Hades any of these guys end up at LSU now. If they do, I really have to have I have really deep thoughts about that, about a parent allowing a kid go to a school like that right now with what's going on. So I think that on the outside, they're just saying nice things so they don't have to deal with it. But there is no way in hell that they're going to LSU. None. I can't believe that. Lester Quinones, his visit comes up for Indiana this weekend, this coming weekend. He's also looking at, a lot of the usual suspects. That would be both a great get. He's a good shooter.
Yeah.
Very good. Indiana can certainly use some shooting.
No doubt.
You think. Certain. But it's just it's funny that Memphis is right in the middle of all that. And Penny Hardaway, of course, their coach, 4-time NBA All-Star. But they have a lot of other NBA people on that staff. And that's what a lot of these kids are looking at. That's what they see. But just because somebody's played in the NBA does not necessarily mean they can get you to the NBA. But a lot of these kids are already going to the NBA, man.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, about wanting to go to Memphis is you have a coach that's been there before. He knows what it takes to play at that next level. So while, Memphis might not be the sexy spot to get guys into the NBA, you're absolutely right.
He knows what it takes for him.
Sure. And I agree with you that the majority of the guys that will find their way into the NBA, they're going to the NBA already. Doesn't matter where they go to school.
Or they're going to get developed, and there's no timeline showing that he's a great developer of talent.
Sure.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that has not been proven to be the case yet. So just because he played in the NBA, didn't Avery Johnson play in the NBA?
He did.
So that worked out for him at Alabama.
That's a good point.
Not very well. So, and not only that, Avery Johnson was a very good player in the NBA. He had a very healthy career.
Hell of a coach in the NBA too.
But it didn't translate. The college game's different, man.
Yeah.
It's a different beast.
There's been a lot of coaches recently in college basketball that are NBA Hall of Famers that really haven't done that well in college coaching. Just right off my head, Chris Mullins recently, Avery Johnson, like you said. Patrick Ewing, yeah. And there's a lot of guys that it just doesn't translate.
Well, Jake popping up there, both great examples. Exactly. So we'll see, but it's these are 18-year-old kids. So certain things sway them. We'll find out. Cole Anthony, we talked about him earlier. I think his decision is coming tomorrow.
8:50 a.m. on Get Up on ESPN.
Scheduled. Got him a TV gig. See, that's what happens. I guess that's Trendon couldn't get that. He wasn't high enough. He could have got.
When you're the number one player in the class, you can get pretty much whatever you want.
That's pretty much the case. That's not a lie. That is not a lie. But we'll certainly see. We'll know when we know. I mean, we all want to know who's going where, what's going to happen. But, at the end of the day, we'll know when we know. So, but Indiana, had a visit this weekend from Anthony Harris, great combo guard, probably the best combo guard left, that's unaffiliated. They've got Lester Quinones coming in next weekend. Both would be incredibly great. They could get neither. They could get both. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Trace Jackson Davis also played in the Jordan Brand Classic over the weekend. 4 points, played 10 minutes of that game. It's going to be I'll just be glad when it's done so we know what's what and move forward. But at least Indiana is in the conversation for these guys. A couple of years ago, that wasn't the case. They were not even in the conversation. But being in the conversation is a moral victory. Got to get them signed on the dotted line and keep moving forward, and hopefully they will get that done.
I mean, it's always nice to know that you've got guys at least looking at your program and interested in wanting to join, whether they do or not. I agree that
not just guys, but the top guys.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's just like anything else. It's in the numbers, man. If you got 10 of the top guys and you're in the mention, you're gonna hit strike gold on some of those, obviously. But and we've had this long discussion. Just listen to Todd earlier, Todd Leary again. We had a great conversation about that Friday about these rankings and all that stuff with the college game transitioning back to how it was with 3 and 4 year players, because the elimination of the one and done is coming up here within a couple of years. When that goes away, and these teams, and a lot of these teams are already doing it. They're already transitioning back to that. Because if you look at this year's Final Four, it was the greatest tournament in the history of the tournament. There were no one and dones in there. These were guys, not only were these 3 and 4 year guys, you had guys like Auburn had one of their guards that was the 300 and something rated guard. He wasn't recruited by anybody. Him and his running mate hung 50 on Kentucky. Kentucky had what? 67 5-stars on their roster?
At least.
And I'm not cracking on them. It could have been anybody. It's just Duke. Duke had the greatest team in college basketball this year. What happened to them? They got beat.
Didn't even get to the Final Four.
They got beat.
And they didn't just have the top talent. They had numbers 1, 2, and 3 ranked in the class.
Damn right. They had I put that down as the John Wall, Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins team. That, dude, how in the hell do you lose with that team? I mean, how do you lose those talents? Zion Williamson is, he's like a LeBron James-esque.
Could be the next one.
I don't think he has the shooting yet, but
he shot pretty well this year.
But he's a freak. Man. But how do you lose with that kind of talent, man? I should have been able to win with that talent. They should have been able to put me on the bench and still win. Because that was a lot of talent. But it shows you it's a team game. And it shows you that freshmen make freshman mistakes. Freshmen get beat. And boy, howdy did they. They certainly did.
Y'all can keep your one and dones.
Well, it's going away, and that's, the thank goodness, because, and to me, we talk about how great that tournament was last year and the fact that there was no one and dones in it. There's the correlation. Better basketball, better team basketball, not the dominant teams. There were some dominant teams last year, but they flamed out in the tournament. They got beat because on any given day, anybody can beat anybody in college basketball now. And that's great. That's what makes it so much more fun. That's why you talk about Indiana's glory days. That's what all those teams were built on. 3-4 year players, good players, very good players, but 3-4 year players, and they were developed. We'll see how that goes. We got a lot more to talk about. Nick Baumgart's going to join us next. Get his numbers out. We'll talk more about college recruiting. A lot to get to. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more after this.
I'm tired, but I'm working, yeah. I care, but I'm restless. I'm here, but I'm really gone. I'm wrong and I'm sorry.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Stopped along the way. Well, I got down on my bending knees. And I began
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday. Hope your week's off to a good start. If not, hope we can get headed in that direction. Hope you had a great holiday weekend, Easter. Joined now by our good friend Nick Baumgart. Nicky, how did you get lots of Easter eggs over the weekend?
I won. 13th year in a row I've won. And
what did you win? The Easter egg hunt?
Just pride, Jim. We don't have a lot of money over here. And,
what did you win? The Easter egg hunt?
Yeah.
13
sure, man.
years
Like
in a row? Come on, what are you, Bill Self? What are you getting help from Christian Dawkins? What's going on, man? That's a long streak.
Well, I know somebody, inside job, similar to Bill Self. The only way you can build a dynasty. Ask Wooden.
Got a direct route to the Easter Bunny at Adidas.
Yeah, well, you just grandma, she get the plan ahead of time. You know where the eggs are going to be at. And it's like
inside information. You're like Will Wade at LSU, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like Self. It's the only way. Ask Wooden. The only way to build a dynasty.
I've been talking about a little bit. There's a ton of recruiting news going on right now. We just had the Jordan Brand Classic over the weekend. You got Cole Anthony about to make his decision. Trenton Watford about to make his decision. Lester Quinones coming on a visit soon, going to make his decision. Anthony Harris was here this weekend. A lot of guys that are about to do that, and a lot of these guys that are all still have LSU in the mix, and that I don't know if they're just being politically correct.
Checks haven't cleared. I got info. It's coming in my ear here. Checks haven't cleared yet. They just got reinstated, man. It takes time to get these offshore. Anyway.
I guess they're just being politically correct, but I don't see how there's any way in the world any parent would allow their kid to go to that school right now. I don't care he's been reinstated. He's a cheater. He's a known cheater. So I guess they're just being politically correct with all that and just not kicking him out. But
I wonder. I just, maybe Twitter's got me like, maybe I don't know what reality is because I've looked at Twitter so long, but it just seems like people they don't care. Like there's so many people that think that this entitlement thing that that's the only way that you can spin it is take sympathy on me because, they got the wiretaps right there.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this is not an if here. We're not thinking about
how do they reinstate him? Like, how do you get
why does anybody
follow the rules?
I think because there is no proof, but I don't care. He refused to even meet with LSU until he was forced to when he had to meet with the NCAA. So that right there, that's enough to me. But I think it's embarrassing. I think they're embarrassing themselves if it's possible for anything in Louisiana to be embarrassed. But it sure seems like that is the case. But that's where we are in college basketball. It's so funny.
They're in everything, yeah.
But we'll find out. I mean, I think that it's going to be interesting on what the NCAA is able to do after all is said and done when they're allowed to get the information from the FBI and this and that and the other thing. But because big news came out, Will Wade and Sean Miller are not going to be forced to testify because a judge ruled the relationship with the relationships involved were not relevant to whatever they were doing, which
they're in charge of the I
just shake my head. All I can do is shake my head when I say it, but they've got to get a handle on it. But does this go away at all? Even does it even go away when the rule change comes into effect for one and dones? Because all these guys are not one and dones.
No, I mean, look back. I mean, it's for as long as for as long as college basketball is, modern era. If you look back, like the '60s, right, wouldn't have a fixer, guy. I mean, there was no free agency, big contracts really back then for that. I mean, I think it just keeps going on and on forever. I mean, people are involved. I hate to say it, but humans are a little, got some flaws, and greed's one of them. I think that this goes on forever. People will always cheat. As long as coaching salaries are high, it doesn't really matter about the players. I mean, the players are just pawns, really. I mean, that's just kind of how I see it. I mean, as long as you're going to tempt some guy to coach basketball and pay him $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $6 million, I mean, there's going to be that corruption without a strong. I mean, the NCAA is sterile. I mean, look at Missouri. I mean, Missouri's only fault was they admitted they were honest and came out and said, yeah, we had this rogue tutor. They got slapped.
Well,
so, yeah,
you can say the same thing about and you can say the same thing about Louisville. And his funny thing is Rick Pitino. I remember Rick Pitino kept telling the school, don't do this. Do not do this self-admitting crap. He said, don't do it. And what did they do? They did it. They put themselves on probation. And what happened? They got kicked in the nuts. They're the only team in the history of the NCAA to have a national championship taken away. And they
look way worse. And yeah, right. In the revisionist history, they'll always go down as having that championship, wiped out. And it's because they were honest. And, it's like, so anyway, I guess it makes for good drama, but, it's where we are with it.
It certainly is. Indiana, Anthony Harris visited this weekend. I think we have different opinions here, and I love that. I think that Indiana's in good position because they need this guy, and I think the kids love being needed. North Carolina wants him, but I think that they're going to get a commitment from possibly Cole Anthony. I don't know if that's going to be a draw to play with or saying, man, he's kind of be playing my spot. So I'm going to head off to Indiana because they need me more. I think Indiana's in a good position to get him. Maybe not, but we'll certainly find out. But I know you think otherwise.
Well, I lived through the Charlie Villanueva Luau Deng saga that was, right, Jim? Like, I don't know if you remember those days, but it was like coming off of that title game. Everything was great, momentum built, and so these guys are coming in from the East Coast. These big visits, and one by one, they just kept breaking my heart. Villanueva went to UConn, and then Deng ends up at Duke, and we were left without anybody. I mean, I think we might have ended up with the Ben Allen that year or something. I don't know. I'm just a little snake bitten with these East Coast guys. I mean, the East Coast is just so different from from Indiana. I don't know. It's just you're going up against 4 East Coast schools in Indiana, so it's a big change, and it's not that much of a change between Maryland and Georgetown. Outside the campus and same geographical area. Indiana's different. It's a lot further away from. So we'll see. I guess it just kind of has that feel of Villanueva Deng to me, and whether it's fair or not, that's kind of, these Midwest guys, these Indiana guys, and that's, don't get away from the playbook. The playbook's been good. It's I know Romeo wasn't, it didn't work out as great as everyone had hoped maybe, but Rob, Trace Jackson Davis, Keon Brooks was in the bag. I mean, that was done, but things happen.
Yeah, but what do you think? Getting back to how I was looking at it, from the fact that Indiana has a need for him, and North Carolina not so much. You don't think that sways in is going to play a part in his decision making?
Well, I think anytime you go on a visit like that, like you can imagine Roy, right? I mean, he's used car salesman number one. You know, he's going to make you feel wanted. They're maybe, you know, but they can also say, you know, if you want to win, this is the only place for you. Like, why would you go to Indiana? I mean, this is what they're saying. Why would you go to Indiana? You know, they haven't missed the tournament in 4 years. You know, they were 19-16. They watched us this year. You know, they're no, you know, that's just how it's going to be spun.
Right, but then
so but
the
win,
other side of that
know,
coin is the fact that you're going to be the difference maker. You're going to be part of turning that around. You're going to be a part of something special. That's what they're getting the other side of that. And they've got Trace Jackson-Davis coming in. They've got good pieces in place. They're just a couple pieces away from having what they need. And I think that's how you sell those top guys, saying you're one of those top pieces that we're missing.
I agree. I mean, I think that's how you sell it. I'm just saying that if you're the recruit, you know, it just depends what you're looking for. You know, I mean, if you're wanting to go in some place where they're, you know, they win and you know you're going to win and you know you're going to play alongside one of the top players in the country in the same backcourt. I mean, it's got to make your life easier.
We know all that. What
do
you think the odds are actually of Harris? You don't think Harris is coming to Indiana?
Yeah, I would say something like 30% or something. I mean, again, I don't know. This is just my why.
Yeah, I mean, what are you basing that? I mean, I think that Indiana's in a better position because of what I said. I think because they need him, and that need it will sway him. Now, that's just an educated guess. That's nothing other than that. I'm just looking at it from that perspective. So that's why I think that Indiana may be in a better position than, say, North Carolina to land him. But you don't think he's going to come here, and I'm just wondering why that is.
Well, I just think, you know, right now the momentum is it's just not. It's not with Indiana. You know, it was last year. It was kind of, you know, had that feel to it. I mean, I just think, and again, I'm not judging on anything solid or anything like that. It's just kind of my gut feeling on these situations. It's just kind of, you know, if he was so sold on Indiana, why did he commit to Virginia Tech in the first place? Like, yeah, I get things change and maybe he comes back around, and it just to me kind of feels. I don't know. We'll see. He put him in their top 5, you know, and it's good that you feel that way.
Well, no, I'm just basing it on like what I said. I think because I think it comes down to the top. I think North Carolina and Indiana are the top 2 schools from what I've understood. That may not be the case either. We thought that was the case back with the kid that ended up going to Ohio State, the guard from Iowa. His name is escaping me right now, but everybody thought that was a lock. But
DJ Carton.
Yeah. Everyone thought that was going to be a Michigan Indiana thing, and then Ohio State comes in at the last second, whoop, and swoops him up. That can happen again here. I think this is an Indiana North Carolina thing right now. But somebody else sweep.
I'll give you something solid. I'll give you something solid. I mean, I don't know if this sways the way, you know, the pendulum either way, but style and tempo is going to play. You know, have something to do with it. I mean, you're talking about North Carolina was the 6th fastest team in the country last year. You know, they're 74, 75 possessions a game. You're talking about Indiana, who was 215th. You're looking at 66 possessions. So, you know, you're looking at a difference in speed of the game, style. I think Indiana's going to get slower probably next year by adding Brunk. You know, Brunk, Davis. I don't know. I mean, we'll see, but you know, so maybe that plays into it.
But I think that's not what they want to play, though. That's not what they want to be. And again, I think that's a way to sell that player. Hey, we want to do this, and we need you to be able to do that. We need you to be able to help us make that difference. Because you didn't have the players.
Why? People say they don't have the play. Okay, so
who are you going to do it with?
We'll see.
Who are you going to do it with? Who do you have to do it with? Romeo standing in the corner? No. You got one point guard, and he's a freshman. He's you know, other than high school, he had no collegiate experience. That's your point guard. That's basically your only point guard.
I mean, Archie's never. I mean, like I just looked at the numbers last night. And Archie's never been any faster than 174th in the country. You know,
relative talent to be better than that.
Maybe. I don't know. I would argue you don't need talent to be able to run.
That's true. That's
you
true.
need to be in shape, and you need to be intelligent, and you need to be well disciplined, and you need to be, know your. But it's my thing. I guess is we'll see. I'll believe when I see it. I don't know what. I hear that he wants to play faster and all that, but well, it has to happen. And I'm just telling you, I've seen a lot of teams run without the. There was,
Well, that's true. There's truth to what you say, and the numbers don't lie. I mean, the numbers are what they are, and wanting to do something and actually doing it are two different things. And if numbers over 9 years say one thing, that's kind of what it is. I agree with you on that.
I think I don't think people realize how dirty the recruiting world is, but I think there's, if you're North Carolina, you're saying, look what they did to Romeo. I don't know what this kid wants to do. If he wants to try to bolt, one and done style, or if he's more of. There's so many things about it I don't know.
Well, he's not a one and done, so I don't think that's an option. He's not. I don't think he's talented enough to be a one and done, so I don't think that's a worry.
So it just kind of depends. If you're going into a situation where you want to get out quick, North Carolina's kind of a factory. I mean, it's they could turn you over pretty quick. We'll see. There's I don't know. We'll see how many minutes there are.
Yeah, Lester Quinones, he comes on an official visit to Indiana next weekend, something they were not able to get done prior to. He's also a player that would be a very good get for Indiana. He goes to Michigan after Indiana's visit. So
29th, yeah. Quinones. I just thought they'd get him for that. Kid's got Quinones.
I never thought of that. Oh, man.
That could be Don Fisher's new call.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. That's hilarious. But he's a heck of a shooter, man. And obviously this team could certainly use all the shooting power they can get.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to Todd Leary Friday about this. Back in the late 80s and the 90s, even Bob Knight, his teams shot over 40% from behind the arc. His entire team, not a player, but the entire teams. Where Jay Edwards shot 58%, by the way, one year. But they need shooting. They need, and anybody that thinks otherwise is crazy, because I've seen some people say that they're fine with shooting. No, they're not. You've got to add talent and add shooting, and he would be a good get for them.
Yeah, I mean, I took some heat on Twitter. I'm with you. Basketball's not that hard. In theory, get a shot every time. Don't turn the ball over. Get a good shot, and make shots. So, to be able to make shots, though, you got to be able to take good shots. And so when I looked at the numbers that I'm going to have out later today, last night, Indiana spent like 1,000. It was like over 2,700 possessions, and there were like over 1,000 possessions that they spent on just junk situations, like handoffs. I'm just, shooting the ball when they're guarded, catch and shoot when they're guarded. They were just awful. Different things like that. Just, wasted possessions where if they're just a little smarter and they take better shots, putting people into the right situations. And I think at the end of the year, that's kind of what we saw. We saw Devontae Green kind of find his mark with his shooting, because he was being put into situations to catch and shoot. And, I think he's like 17 for his last 35 from three. So, I think there's lots of room to improve, lots of places. And the pieces are there. And people said, I think it was Rob Deuster or whatever with NBC last year said, well, this IU team, they are what we thought they were. They're just not that good. Not true. There's just a lot of places where Indiana can get better, even though they're going to lose Romeo and Morgan. Just putting guys into positions to be successful. And a lot of that's found in the numbers. So, there's hope.
I don't think that, I know Joey Brunk's a big dude. He's 6'11". He's a banger, but I don't know that that's going to really slow him down that much. I think that he can continue. He can get up down the floor. As a matter of fact, he's obviously healthier than, say, Deron Davis, who's, battled injuries and had to get through all that. So I think they'll be fine as far as tempo of the game. If they can get Jerome Hunter back, that would be huge, because to me, that does a couple things. You have to rely a lot less on a very unproductive Justin Smith, who I've just not seen a lot of improvement. I mean, maybe defensively.
His bus, are you?
I just, man, after watching the same thing offensively, I'm sure his defense has come around. He's very good defensively. He's a tremendous athlete, but it doesn't seem that those skills are all being pushed even close to their boundaries.
Perfect example, though. There you go, Justin Smith. As far as putting guys into positions to be successful, though, and that's kind of on Archie. The numbers on using ball screens is awful. If you can't get the ball to the guy that's rolling to the basket, the scoring value is just terrible. But with Justin Smith, I don't understand why no one said to him, do not shoot the ball anymore, rip the rim down. Okay. If you don't get 10 rebounds this game, you're not starting the next game. Well, he should be just a monster around the goal. The fact that he still wants to go out and shoot, it's like. I
agree, and I hate to cut you off, brother, but we got to hit up against the break. But you're right, and we'll talk about that more again the next time. But I agree with you 100%. But thanks a lot for joining us, Nick Baumgart, on with us today. Thank you, sir. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us here.
Justin.
He said bye. Everybody says bye. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We appreciate you. Indiana Sports Speak. Back with more tomorrow. For Jake, Justin, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.